out. My pen's going to be my pointer, and then I'm going to point out why the pen is so important in about 4 minutes also. But we're literally going to start with this very first page. And folks, I tell you, I got to laugh because this is how simple it is. I have my prospect, I have my guest read this presentation, okay? And here's what's interesting, folks. The old adage is how you introduce Legal Shield to somebody is how they do Legal Shield. So if you end up doing a 3-hour presentation on somebody, they may or may not, get the service, become an associate. They may or may not. I guarantee it doesn't duplicate. Okay, with our consumer folder presentation, this duplicates all day long. And so, again, I'm going to have my guests read Worry Less, Live More. Because number one, it's kind of upside down, so I really can't even read it. I'm going to point to them and, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you read that? And they're going to read legal protection for everyone, everywhere, no matter how traumatic or trivial the situation. Okay, and then I'm going to have them continue to read. Imagine getting top-rated legal advice on any matter without worrying about the high hourly cost. You can protect your family, save money, enjoy peace of mind for pennies a day. And I'll just say something like, doesn't that sound cool? Just like that, just a real, little bit of a tie down. All right, now this next part right here is very, very, very important. In fact, I'm going to make it a little bigger. That's why it's so important. At this point, what I want you to do is, I still want you to hold on to this presentation. It's upside down, but still hold on to it. Because what we found is if you release this presentation, your chances are you might have just lost your presentation. And what I mean by that is you'll do it once and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If you end up just giving the presentation to them, next thing you know, they're turning pages, they're looking at all the sparkly pictures, and you pretty much just lost your presentation. So instead, what I want you to do is, have a couple fingers still holding the presentation. It's upside down, so they're reading it just like you're reading it. But hand them a pen. Hand them that pen that you have in your hand, and ask them, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you put a check mark by any of these items that have either happened to you or, this one's important, anybody you know, maybe family, neighbors, and such. And the reason for that is because of this situation right here, the foreclosure and bankruptcy. Because what that is that's kind of a little personal there, and sometimes people feel a little bad about that kind of stuff, so we don't want to make them feel bad. So that for the reason for that, we say, hey, anyone you know who might have gone through some of these issues, okay? And folks, let them, go ahead and don't say anything. Let them read. Let them concentrate on this a little bit. Have them put the check marks down. And here's what's absolutely fascinating, is that you should get every bit of 50% of these items check marked off all day long, okay? I had a situation a while back. We met with a small business person, and the father and daughter were there, and I only had one of these. For some reason, I was running low that day. So they actually had to share one of these consumer folders, and the daughter was kind of craning her neck and, trying to read these items, and she was like, oh, I just put a check mark by that whole first column. My gosh, that's absolutely me. And we're just having fun. And what I'm doing here, folks, is I'm finding out their hot buttons. Okay, this is critical. Now you know their hot buttons. My favorite question to ask in the whole presentation is right here. When was the last time you updated your will? Okay, it's not do you have a will. It's when was the last time you updated your will. So if you're out there right now doing your presentations and you're asking people, hey, do you have a will? And you're not getting the love, you're not getting the response you should be getting, well, that's what this is about. This is a training for you to kind of tweak things. Just like a pair of binoculars, sometimes it just needs a couple clicks to be absolutely focused. And that's exactly what some of the language that we use here, folks, is, again, when was the last time you updated your will? Very, very important there. Probably my favorite question when I do this presentation, or even when I'm out and about. Okay? So again, these are going to be situations that are going on in people's lives that you wouldn't ordinarily know, but now that there's a check mark, also sometimes I'll ask, hey, of all those items you check marked off, which one's like really big? Which one's really big and sometimes it's, oh, boy, I just got a traffic ticket, or, I'm going through a child custody situation. That's the beauty of this part right here, folks, is you now know the person's hot button, okay? At that point, you're going to go ahead and turn the presentation over, and you're going to fold it over, and you're literally going to start right here under preventative law, and bingo, you literally could do a presentation right here under this first area and forget everything else, okay? And it reminds me of a story. I was with Dan Webb up in Northern California a while ago, and we sat down with an HR person for the city. I think they had about 140 employees. We literally did a presentation right here. We asked 4 questions. I collected a decision, and she's like, yeah, this sounds great. Let's do it. All right? So, folks, we literally right here, we did the deal. So just when you're out there doing your presentation, again, find out, folks, sometimes I've seen associates go too much. We're so darn excited about all that Legal Shield does that we feel we have to share everything. And we literally do the vomit package on them and blah, blah, blah all over them. Folks, no, just read your guest there, read your prospect, what's in it for them, and keep things real simple, okay? So let's get into the 4 questions. Again, I'm going to show you at the end of the presentation where to find these 4 questions. I'm going to ask that you print out these 4 questions, and I'm going to ask that you learn these 4 questions. If you were to ask my wife, literally for weeks, we'd be driving in the car, and she would have the script in front of her, and I would be sharing, with her the 4 questions over and over and over and over. 4 questions. That's it, folks. We're not talking rocket scientist stuff here. So question number 1 to my guest. I'm meeting a guy today. His name is Michael. Hey, Michael, would you agree over a year's time we make a lot of important decisions personally, professionally, and financially? And let him answer. Folks, 99.9% of the time, the guest is going to go, yeah. Wonderful. Second part of the question is that right here, okay, would you agree we make a lot of important decisions, personally, yes, fantastic. Our first area coverage is unlimited telephone consultation on an unlimited number of issues. At this point right here, I literally, I actually right here in the column, let me see if I can do a little drawing thing here. I literally draw a little thing right here. I say 9 to 5, okay? And I'll tell you why I do that in a second. All right? So right here in the column, there's plenty of room. I literally say 9 to 5, during normal business hours, you're going to have access to top attorneys 9 to 5 under any issue out there, okay? You've got a real estate matter. You've got child custody. You've got anything. Monday through Friday, pick up the phone. And oh, this is what I do. I also have my phone out in front of me, and I literally pick up the phone as a prop, as a tool, and I say, no longer is this phone going to cost you $200, $300, $400 an hour. Wouldn't you agree the phone gets pretty heavy at $200, $300, $400 an hour? You don't have to make that decision, next time you have a question. The second question I'm going to ask my guest is, hey, Michael, when was the, have you ever been treated unfairly? Okay, and again, let them answer. Have fun here, folks. Sometimes I'll joke and say, in the last half hour, or just think back over the last 6 months, last year, have you ever been treated unfairly? And here's the big question: what did you do about it? And this is important, folks. You'll see my conversation, and I mean conversation with my guest, is interactive. I'm asking questions, they're answering, they're part of it. I'm not doing the blah, 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 just all about me. I want to get them involved. So, Michael, have you ever been treated unfairly? I sure have. Hey, Michael, what'd you do about it? And shut up. Let them squirm. Let them get in there a little bit like, oh, my God, the airlines messed up my luggage, and, my God, and get in there. So what'd you do about it? Oh, I called the airlines and went through voicemail hell, and And what else? What else? Keep digging, keep digging. What you want to get to the point here, folks, is, well, why don't you call your attorney? Okay? And what you want to really get to is, it's the money. See, again, $200–300 an hour, the average person's not going to make that phone call. All right? So at this point, you're going to share, well, that's the best part of our service, is next time someone treats you unfairly, don't get upset, don't get stressed out, pick up the phone, call your attorney, and if the attorney feels a letter or a phone call will help, that's exactly what they'll do. Okay? Now, at this point, ladies and gentlemen, we want to turn this into show and tell. Okay? And at this point, what I'd like everybody to do is, oh, let me get out of something here. At this point, I'm going to then now show them a sample letter, a sample situation that happened to me. Now, folks, if you don't have a letter yet, if you don't have any kind of a, I call this my dog and pony stuff right here, borrow it from someone who does. Borrow my story until you get your story. And I always share this story. This happened to me. It was for a situation back in, well, over 10 years ago. An issue here where a debt collector was coming after me for $225. Okay, very intimidating letter. They're gonna whack my credit. If you'll read through here, it's got all that legalese. 2 pages of just sheer, oh my God, what's going on here? Okay, and it was a service I legitimately wasn't happy with. I stopped it. What they do, they threw me to collection. At this point, folks, I'm going to ask my guest, hey, Michael, what would you do if you got a letter just like this? And I'm going to hand him the letter. Again, why do I do that? I want him to squirm. I want him to feel what it feels like if he gets this letter. And there's usually 3 responses. The first is, the trash can. That's a legitimate response. I don't recommend it, but that's a response. The second is to call an attorney. About 1 out of 20 times the guest will actually say that, and I always congratulate them on that. That's a great business decision. Another decision is just to go ahead and pay the amount. That's awesome too. That's a good business decision sometimes. Or how about calling Tiffany, and that's what old Bob would have done. I would have picked up the phone, called Tiffany, and gave her a piece of my mind. Got upset, wasted time. Well, new Bob picks up the phone and calls Parker Stanberry. See, Parker Stanberry is the lead provider law firm in Southern California, actually all of California. And at this point, folks, I actually show my prospect, my guest, a copy of the letter. Okay? We market an intangible. It's intangible. Sometimes people can't grasp it. When you show them a letter like this, okay, and actually I have fun. I actually show them my letterhead from my law firm versus, Tiffany's letterhead here, barely 2 sentences, let alone now Parker Stanberry, who's this Robert Cohen guy, and my gosh, he's got some firepower, and we're having fun again, okay? I literally fold this over. I have it in my plastic sleeve, I have it in a little binder, and I literally show my prospect a sample letter. And here's what happened, ladies and gentlemen. I let them read it. Here's what's kind of fun. If I have a guest who literally reads every little syllable of this letter, I know I've got an analytical person here that most probably I'm not going to get ink on paper this very first sitting. Most probably. There are exceptions, especially if we hit some hot buttons. But what I'm getting at here, folks, is it's probably going to take some follow-up. It's probably going to take, put them on the autoresponder. They're going to have to, analyze it and all that. If I have a guest who just barely, reads this, like most people, I know this person's going to make a decision, very, very quickly. So again, here's that letter. It's got all that legalese, and I let the guest read it. At that point, I literally tell my guest, at that point, I thought that was the end of it, Tiffany. We showed you. Well, lo and behold, I heard back from Tiffany. This time, her response was a lot shorter, and basically saying she's not going to pursue this any further. No negative report appeared, by the company on my credit. Have a nice life, Bob. Ladies and gentlemen, I have shared this story hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. This story has literally made me thousands, literally thousands and thousands of dollars, okay? And I share it with you here to, same thing, get your story, folks. You borrow our story till you get your own, okay? At this point, my third question here, back to my guest, is, hey, Michael, have you ever signed a contract or document you wish you had? Again, let them answer. You know, think about it, Michael. Every time we buy a car, we lease a car, we rent an apartment, you know, we buy a house, anything, you know, we sign contracts. Michael, you know, if you were to ask a wealthy person to sign a contract, what do you think they'll say? And normally the guest is going to say, you know, let me speak to my attorney. Let me have my attorney review it. At that point, Michael, I'd ask them, you know, well, why? Well, because, you know, wealthy people make good decisions and they can afford it. At that point, I'm going to say, Michael, how would you like to have the same privilege the wealthy have? Okay, sure. Everybody wants to have the same privilege there. All right? Next time someone says sign here, Michael, pick up that phone, have the attorneys review that contract, review that document, and now you know where you stand. Okay? I'll share a story, just what happened to me literally over the last 5 years. We have had the attorneys here in North Carolina review documents. One of them literally saved us $30,000 because the attorney reviewed it. He said, don't you dare sign it. We didn't. And thank God I had access to the attorneys. I didn't get the crazy legal bill. It was all part of the monthly service. Okay? Last but not least, again, favorite question I'm going to ask here is, hey, Michael, when was the last time you updated your will? Okay? I probably already know the answer from the first page that, you know, he check marked off that. But again, I want to bring this to light. And at this point, I'm going to remind him how serious a will is. I'm going to remind him that the state has a will for his loved ones, which I guarantee they're probably not going to want to see. I'm going to let him know with our service, and I'm literally going to show him a sample will questionnaire that everybody, all of us gets that from the company. It's blue. It's a sample membership packet there. I literally have that as part of my dog and pony show here that I'm going to go through it with them. I'm going to show them it's an easy process. It's a simple process. It's an expensive process. Normally it's $800 to $1,000. But at that point, I'm really going to show him the value of this service. Okay? So right here, folks, we're going to go ahead and stop, and I'm going to ask for a decision. I'm literally going to summarize what we just shared here by my first 4 points. So, Michael, if I were to summarize what we just shared, unlimited telephone consultation on an unlimited number of issues, letters and phone calls made on your behalf, contract and document review, and a will prepared for you and your family, not only a will, but a living will. Michael, would you agree $39.85 is an absolute no-brainer to protect not only yourself, but your whole entire family? And let him answer. Folks, Michael's going to go, yeah, that's a no-brainer. At that point, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to reach over. I'm going to shake his hand. I'm going to say, Michael, welcome to Legal Shield. Okay? And folks, at this point, I'm going to be having my enrollment form out in front of me. It's going to be highlighted. And I'm going to say, Michael, where would you like your will questionnaire sent to? Okay? And I'm going to start right here under mailing address, and we're going to start filling it out. That's it, folks. That's it. Okay? I'm going to start asking the other questions. I'm going to fill out the enrollment form on my members' behalf. Okay? If you're kind of you're sensing, whoa, 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 you're going a little too fast kind of thing, not a problem, because at that point, folks, you can continue on with the presentation. Okay? A while ago, I met with a firefighter, and I did my presentation. I asked my 4 questions, and he's giving me some gas. You know, he's giving me a little bit of a hard time. You know, no, Bob, that's too much to spend. I go, his name was Jeff. I go, Jeff, no problem. I'm not here to convince. Let me keep going on with the presentation, because that was only about 20%. Okay? At that point, I'm going to go across, and I'm now going to talk about motor vehicle. Okay? Very important that you stay in line here, exactly how I'm describing this, okay? If you're doing your presentation and you start jumping around, one time you start with preventative, next time you do trial, sometimes you do the 24-hour, guess what? You're going to miss stuff, okay? And so what I want you to do is I want you to follow the plan, and I want you to then now go to motor vehicle, okay? At this point, ladies and gentlemen, again, I'm going to write here in the margin. I'm going to write here. Bear with me here a second. I got to open up something. I'm going to write 15 days. Okay. And normally it's a little more prettier here, but you get my point. So 15 days. Okay. And what does that mean? There's a 15-day wait for motor vehicle. Why do I do that, folks? Well, I don't want to oversell this service. You never want to do that. I never do that. And what you're going to do here is you're going to let them know, hey, play it cool for the next 2 weeks, but in the event, after that, you do get a moving traffic violation, your driver's license is current, no drugs, no alcohol. What are we going to do? Well, we're actually going to show you how to have access to the attorneys that, guess what? Let me do something here. Let's go back. Okay. We're literally going to have an attorney represent you any kind of moving traffic violation. Now, at this point, what am I going to do? We're back to show and tell. So here's a story. Here's a friend of mine, Kevin. He goes to Vegas. They get him for doing what, I think they got him for a 78 and a 60. Okay. My friend has the service. He picks up the phone. He calls Parker Stanberry. What does Parker Stanberry do? They hook him up with the Nevada law firm. Nevada law firm goes to his court hearing on his behalf. Ladies and gentlemen, the citation was brought down to a parking violation, no points, no classes. He did have to pay a little shakedown fee of $65. Okay? So again, you see how powerful this is, ladies and gentlemen? He didn't get the bill from the attorney. This should have been every bit of probably $300-400 to have an attorney go to your court hearing on your behalf. His insurance company still thinks he's a great driver. So again, folks, motor vehicle, very, 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 very powerful. At this point, I'm going to go super fast. Trial defense, in case any kind of lawsuits, IRS, in case of any kind of audits. That's it. That's it. That's about all I'm going to say. This one's important, okay? Very important here, because again, we want to make sure the expectation is not that crazy. So at this point, I'm going to say, are we going to cover everything for the $39.85? Okay, and I want him to say with me, no. Okay, no, no, no. What I'm getting at here, folks, is just like any other, medical and such, you've got most of it's going to be covered under what I just shared, but you've got the big stuff. You've got the bankruptcies, the bank robberies, the custodies, the divorce. Fine, we're still going to cover that, but we're going to give that member a 25% discount. Okay, this is really important. So if you see you're not doing this right now, please add that in your repertoire, because it's very, very important that your member realizes that not everything's going to be covered here with the price point of $39.85. All right. Also, 24-hour access to the attorneys. This is a biggie, especially if they've got the little ones. I always give them the story. God forbid you're in a traffic accident and you just don't like the way the questioning is going. How would you like to pick up the phone and have access to the attorneys 24/7? From 5 to 9 p.m. Okay, this time now, see, before, remember I said 9 to 5? Well, this time, this is going to be, at nighttime on the weekends and such. Okay? So again, feel free to write over this. This is their presentation that they're going to keep, make the notes and stuff like that. This is big to let them know who's all covered with the plan. Not only you're covered, but your spouse is covered, significant other. This actually changed, ladies and gentlemen. So what you want to do is now write 26 under these two areas, or I think the new version already has the price point there of 26. Okay? So again, very, very important that you're really sharing how this service works properly. Okay, so hang on here with me. Oops, I'm messing up here. Again, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to get better and better the more you do this. Okay? I've done this presentation literally hundreds and hundreds of times, and not a big deal. You know, some stuff you're going to remember. The goal here is to go through and rewatch this webinar after you do a presentation. You know, go out there, practice, come back, watch the presentation again. You can watch mine. You can watch the Hoffmans. I'll show you where you can, again, just get better and better at this presentation so you're truly having fun doing this presentation. Last but not least, we're going to let him know as part of your service, you're going to have access to identity theft protection with one of the best companies out there. Okay. Again, folks, I'm going to write on my form here. Bear with me, and I'm going to write the word Kroll. Okay, right here in the margin. Most people have no idea who Kroll is, but I'm going to let them know. Kroll's been around for 40-some years. They've always been on the military side. They are the best of the best, ex-FBI, ex-CIA, the whole bit, okay? But I'm going to ask them a question. Again, I'm going to get very interactive. Hey, Michael, do you realize there's 5 types of identity theft? And most people don't realize it. Why? Because the credit cards gets most of the press. At this point, I'm going to ask him, Michael, which do you think is the second fastest growing type of identity theft? Okay? Which do you think is the second fastest growing type of identity theft? Let them answer. A lot of times they're going to say social. Sometimes they'll say criminal. It's actually medical. Okay? Why am I doing this, folks? I'm making it interactive. All right? At this point, I'm going to do what? I'm going to show him a story. Okay? So let me just get out of this real quick. And at that point, what am I going to do? I went online, and you can go online. You can use the same exact story. I've made hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars sharing this exact story because it's so amazing. I couldn't even make this stuff up. So here's a guy named Joe Ryan. He goes to his mailbox. He thinks everything's normal, except he gets a bill for $100,000 for delivering a baby and a $40,000 bill for having a kidney transplant. And many of you who have seen me do my presentation, I share this story every single time. Okay? At this point, I'm going to ask my prospect, hey, Michael, what would you do if you were Joe Ryan? Okay? And zip it up. Let him answer. You know, most of the time, the person's like, oh, my gosh, I don't even know where to begin. I'd start crying. And at that point, I would say, exactly. How would you like to pick up the phone, call Kroll? Kroll's going to get in there. You're literally going to sign over limited power of attorney and have Kroll get in there. You've got licensed investigators, A to Z, get this thing cleared up so that you don't have to go through the brain damage. Is that cool or is that cool? Okay. At that point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to right here, and I'm going to let them know here's where we stand head and shoulders away from everybody else in the marketplace. Is because his next phone call is going to be to his attorney. Is going to be to his law firm. So now they can start kicking out letters to the health companies and such, letting them know they've got the wrong person. See, I literally say this. No other identity theft service out there has the teeth that Legal Shield has. Okay? If that's not in your language, folks, please start putting that in your language. Okay? At that point, we're done. We're done. Here's my big, hard closing question, everybody. Ready? Ready? You're sitting down? Here we go. At this point, I'm going to hand them the presentation. I'm literally going to open it up. So this page is open and this page is open. I'm going to hand this to Michael, and I'm going to say, so what did you like best? And I'm going to zip it up. Okay? Write that down, folks. If you're not asking, so what do you like best? Not what do you think. I'm not here to get analytical here. Let's keep it positive. What did you like best? And folks, 9 out of 10 times it's right here. Preventative, preventative, preventative. Whatever he says, I want you to absolutely agree. He says, oh my God, the will. My wife and I, we've been saying we got to get a will, blah, blah, blah. Wonderful. Let's get that taken care of for you. And again, what address would you like to have that will questionnaire sent to? Okay? Folks, that's our presentation. That's it. That's it. You know, it's not rocket scientist. Yeah, it's going to take you a little bit to memorize those 4 questions. Again, I'm going to show you where to find that here in a second. But that's it. Okay? I love going out to lunch with people. I love meeting them for coffee, Panera Bread. You just literally sit down, do this presentation, and your goal is how many times a day can I do this presentation? Folks, if you did this presentation 2 times a day, that's a 6-figure income, okay, especially a director position.